Well, welcome to Behind the Numbers.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I've dug a bit into your background. I've done a bit of research on you, and you've worked at some pretty major places. I'm going to name drop here, NASA being one of them.
Yep.
But what really kind of caught my attention was you joined Fidelity in 2008 as an intern.
That's right. Yep. Sure did.
I want to know about that. That was a bit of a U-turn, a bit of a change?
Yes, it was a bit of a change. I had definitely a non-traditional path to finance. And so just to kind of paint the picture there, I grew up in rural North Carolina, was really interested in technology. And so when it came time to go to college, I studied engineering. And so got a bachelor's in engineering, decided to go straight through, and then I got a master's in engineering. During that time is when I was working at NASA. And throughout all of this, I never had exposure to financial markets. That's just where I'm from. No one did that kind of work.
Right.
And so it wasn't until I started my first full-time job, which was at Motorola, that I started investing as a hobby. And that interest grew, and it kind of snowballed where any waking hour where I wasn't thinking about engineering projects, I was thinking about the market.
Right.
And so that caused me to want to go back to school, this time to get my MBA, to provide a segue into getting into investment management. And so that's during that time, I was an MBA student, and I joined Fidelity as an intern, as you mentioned, in 2008, and was fortunate enough to have love the people, love the company, and got the offer to come on full time in 2009.
That's really amazing. One of the things I love about Fidelity is we bring in people from various backgrounds, and no one's path is absolutely the same. I think that's a real telltale sign of a positive culture here at Fidelity.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. And, with my own journey, I would say that I am better at what I do today because of the path I took. And so even though it wasn't a direct path to finance, I think that a lot of the successes I've had in creating investment solutions for clients are due to some of the things I learned as an engineer and was able to apply to create innovative solutions in the financial services space.
Well, that's awesome. Now you head up the quantitative index solutions group, which I know from personal conversations with my colleagues in Canada, you're a major help in us developing some of the innovative products we've brought to market. Can you tell us a bit about what sort of your day is, day in, day out for you here?
Yeah, so my day in, day out usually revolves around one of, I would say, two or three things. But before I get to those, I'll just start with what the mission of the group is. And so broadly speaking, it is to design and maintain proprietary investment strategies. In its genesis, it started off as equities only, which was my area of expertise when I joined 15 years ago. But today it's broadened out to really be the gamut of different asset classes. So we create equity investment strategies, fixed income, target volatility, which are multi-asset type of investments. And then we also do digital asset strategies as well. And within each of those asset classes, what I like to say is that we create them in such a way such that we are offering our shareholders either efficient exposure to what I call plain vanilla beta exposures. And that's kind of the way to think about that is like the TSX or the S&P 500. Right? You're not doing anything special there. Or we're carving out unique parts of the market. And so what that can look like is factors, which we've got a pretty big suite of products there in Canada. Or it could be thematics or investment strategies that carve out unique, very specific investment outcomes. And so what that might look like would be, say, an equity strategy that can be a hedge to inflation.
Oh, wow.
We had a concept I created called what we call it internally, the bunker strategy.
Okay, all right.
As you can imagine, it's meant to be as defensive as possible to preserve capital. And so, that's what we do. Our mission and what we do. And so my day to day usually revolves around either doing R&D on some new concept that I've been asked to take a look at and think about, doing maintenance or enhancements on an existing strategy. And then the third would be something more client facing where, getting in front of our shareholders and explaining, okay, this is how and why these strategies work, and then being prescriptive using just the years of experience here at Fidelity to say this is how one might think, given in the current market environment, these things would perform as we move forward.
Wow, that's very exciting. That's very, very exciting. Now, you talked about sort of finding the passion, the spark for investing years and years ago. What brings you into the work every day? What draws you here?
Well, what I love about the market is that there's always a new challenge, right? And so if I would draw the contrast in my career as an engineer as opposed to what I do now, I don't get me wrong, I love technology, and my job at Motorola was to design cell phones.
Oh, wow.
But if I think about the problem, it was always the same. So we would come out with our latest and greatest phone, and then it'd be great. Okay, next version, let's add a feature or two and make it smaller. And then we do that. And then the next one, we would add another feature and make it smaller. So you're kind of solving the same problem over and over again. Whereas in the financial markets, it's like we never had a COVID till we had a COVID.
Right.
We never had a great financial crisis until we had one.
Right.
And each one, at each point, you're always, keep staying on your toes and learning something new every day. And I truly do believe that my last day, whenever that is within financial services, I will be learning just as much on that day as I learned my first day back in 2008.
Do you still have a flip phone?
No, I do not still have a flip phone.
Last question. So outside of work, what do you like to get up to?
Well, I think the typical answer. I've got two young pre-tween daughters.
Oh, okay, there you go.
So they obviously keep us busy. But outside of family, I would give you two. One is classic car restoration.
Oh, wow.
It's a hobby that I picked up actually growing up. When I was a kid, my father was into restoring old cars from the 60s and the 70s. And so I do quite enjoy, tinkering with some classic cars I've acquired over time and, kind of slowly getting them back up to their former glory. And then the other interest of mine, although I don't get a chance to do it as much because I do have two tweens and a wife and a very busy job.
Right.
But in a prior life, I, unbeknownst to many people, was a pro-am salsa dancer. And so
that's a plot twist I wasn't expecting. That's pretty awesome.
And so, back in those days, I was part of a dance troupe called Stuck on Salsa. We would perform salsa routines locally and also across the country at major salsa conventions. And so that being said, if you see me around Fidelity offices and I have my earbuds in, there's probably about a 50-50 chance that I'm actually listening to salsa.
Well, that's amazing. Well, Bobby, I was not expecting the salsa. I do. I'm going to put my hand up. I would like a ride in one of your cars one day. And thank you very much for being here as a guest on Behind the Numbers.
Yes, thank you.